the boy who forgot the world for his dream. Long ago, in a small village nestled between green hills and misty forests, there lived a boy named Alaric. He wasn't from a wealthy family. His father worked long hours on a farm, and his mother cleaned houses for the villagers. But inside Alaric's chest burned a dream bigger than any field he'd ever seen. He fell in love with words before he could even spell them properly. Old newspapers, torn books, borrowed magazines, Alaric devoured them all under the dim glow of a single lamp that flickered in the cold nights. One day, his teacher asked the class what they wanted to become. Some children said doctors, some pilots. But Alaric stood up and said firmly, "I will be a writer, and my books will reach the world." Some classmates laughed at him. They saw his shoes full of holes, his second-hand clothes, his worn-out notebooks. But Alaric's dream shone brighter than their laughter. Years passed. Alaric finished school, but he couldn't afford university. Instead, he worked odd jobs in the village, carrying sacks at the grain store, helping his father in the fields, fixing fences for neighbors. Yet each night, he pulled out his old, yellowed notebook and wrote story after story under the moonlight. When friends invited him to parties, he politely refused. When boys his age spent money on new clothes and gadgets, Alaric bought paper and ink. He was mocked for it. "Why waste your nights? Who will read your stories?" they teased. But Alaric had already decided he would forget the world for his dream. One winter, his father fell ill. Alaric worked harder than ever by day and took care of his father at night. Sometimes, he'd fall asleep with his pen in hand, pages covered in rough sketches of characters and ideas. He sent his stories to local publishers, only to be rejected, again and again. Some told him his words were too simple. Others didn't even bother replying. On his wall, he pinned every rejection letter as a reminder. If you quit, the world will forget your dream too. Then, at last, a small independent publisher in the city noticed one of his short stories. They invited him to meet. Alaric walked miles to the train station, wearing his father's old coat. In the city, among tall glass buildings, he felt so out of place, but his stories made him stand tall. The publisher offered him a modest deal for his first book. When the book was printed, Alaric held it to his chest and wept. He could smell the ink, feel the rough cover. It was real. His dream now had pages that would travel further than he ever could alone. Yet success brought new temptations. Digger publishers promised him quick money if he wrote what was trendy. Cheap thrillers, gossip books, hollow words. For a while, Alaric almost gave in. He stayed in the city, spending nights in hotel rooms where his mind felt empty, his pen dry. He missed the cold lamp in his village. He missed the fields. He missed the feeling of writing something true. One night, standing by a hotel window overlooking the city's endless lights, Alaric understood. If you sell your dream, it stops being yours. He packed his bags and returned to his village the next day, to the surprise of everyone who called him foolish. Back home, he built a tiny writing shed next to the same fields where he had once carried sacks for pennies. He taught village children to read and write. He shared his old notebooks, dog-eared, coffee-stained, covered with crossed-out lines, as proof that even rejected words can grow into books that touch the world. Years later, Alaric's books were translated into other languages. His stories, about ordinary people with stubborn dreams, crossed borders. But no matter where he traveled for book signings and literary festivals, he always came back to his village. Next to his writing desk, Alaric kept a wooden box filled with every rejection letter he had ever received. Above it, he hung a sign. "Your dream is your truest wealth. You protect it. It will protect you." When young people asked him for advice, he always smiled and said, "Be ready to forget the world for your dream. For one day, your dream might change the world." Moral of the story: rejections are lessons, never defeat. A dream that survives your hardest nights will light up the darkest places. Forget the world if you must, but never forget your dream.